Today is Monday, January 27th, 2025, 10:17 a.m. As many of you know, I've been on this journey now for about 11 months, coming up on a year, of essentially nomadism or homelessness. I've been pretty much around the same general areas this entire year. And right off the bat, I just want to say that things have been weird right from the get-go. And you say, well, in this kind of lifestyle, weird should be expected. However, it's a different kind of weird. I'm getting a lot of mixed messages in the last couple days, such as people saying things like, don't fall asleep. In my general direction, people are saying things in passing, sometimes right to me, like someone who appeared the very next day. I was in a Salvation Army program, and someone had come in who said that they were a military contractor, and the day after that they were wearing a Lockheed Martin shirt. They also came in with a piece of scotch tape, small piece of scotch tape on their glasses for no reason, just randomly, kind of almost hanging off a little bit. And this was someone who had said that they were a former military contractor and a computer programmer, and actually someone who deals with data collection. And this was told to me by them. This is what was said. How much of that is true, I don't know, but that's what was said. And in the middle of hearing this story about this, and this person was intelligent, I could tell, very intelligent, and they were in the Salvation Army program the day after I got there, and they were my roommate. By the way, the security camera in the bedroom of the Salvation Army, when we had got there, had a piece of paper taped over it. So after a couple nights, I had removed that piece of paper for reasons that I won't really get into much on this talk, but mainly because of all the weird comments and people approaching me that has been going on. So in the middle of him telling me, he had traveled the country and he had worked for, I don't know, software places or military, things like that, I said, you have a piece of scotch tape on your glasses. And he said, oh yeah, something, that's kind of a sleep with one eye open kind of thing, he had said. He said, it's kind of a sleep with one eye opened kind of thing. This was about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. Maybe, give or take. It was the second day I was in the Salvation Army program. And he said he had put something on his application for the program coming in, and he said that those people probably wouldn't even know what that is. So it was strange, for something like that to be there. Then, just about an hour or so later, we got another roommate or later on, and this person immediately started talking about jail and money and work, and basically having a conversation around my bed. These two were going back and forth, and it was very odd. And this person was seemingly intentionally trying to keep me up all night, this other roommate, by randomly kicking and pounding on the locker, and I believe faking a seizure and jumping around and getting up and leaving the room and coming back and slamming the door, which reminds me of the night before last at the Mother Teresa shelter. Someone had come in randomly, kind of odd, who I'd seen over at the Keystone Mission, and this person has just been out of jail, wasn't there last night, but seemed to have marks on his hands and arms indicating that he probably uses fentanyl. If you want to get conspiratorial, I won't say that, but he was kicking my bed all night, and intentionally, not, I mean super obviously intentional. Just like straight out kicking it. The bunks are kind of, the top bunks are basically my feet would meet where his feet are at, with a row of bars in between my bunk and a row of bars on his bunk, basically touching each other. So we're feet to feet, basically, on the top bunk. And there's a little metal square on the top. And he's just kicking that metal thing very hard, sometimes a couple things in a row. Not in a going through a withdrawal way or a drugs kind of way, but in a I am keeping you awake kind of way, so that I would be tired the next day. And this brings me to sleep deprivation. Intentional sleep deprivation tactics are known to be used during interrogations and things like that. I believe it's a form of torture. I haven't sat down and looked into it yet, but it's something I believe if anyone could use it, it would probably have to be the military to use sleep deprivation. And this brings me to mixed messaging. I have a lot of people coming up to me asking me about money and talking about money. Sometimes two random people will come up and start having a conversation in front of me about money. I've had people who I don't even know ask me how much I pay for a can of chew, which brings me back to the summer of 2024, where I had about 5 people wondering how much I had paid for a bag of rolling tobacco. I've never seen anyone basically go up to anyone else, like a stranger, and ask them about the price they paid for something. I mean, that just doesn't happen to normal people. I don't see regular people approaching other regular people at the store and asking something very random, like, oh, how much did you pay for that pack of bubble gum? Or something like that. I'm not talking about 2 girlfriends who say, oh, how much did you get those shoes for? I like that, or something like that. But I've never seen one person say, hey, how much is that pack of bubble gum you got there? But to have 3 or 4 people curious about the price you paid for a very small miscellaneous item in the span of an hour or so is very odd. Very odd. And I've had multiple people talking about strongly implying that they work and that I don't. they pay bills and I don't, taxes, things like this. Which again, very strange. Not strange for people, I guess, to, talk about bills and taxes, but to have multiple strangers bring up the same subject time and time again in front of you and you alone is very odd. It's very odd. And I don't want to get into what had happened last night because it's kind of heavy, and I'd have to really sit down and think about the right way to say it, because I think about Britney Spears and that time in her life we all remember. It was all over E.T. and TMZ, where she had shaved her head, grabbed an umbrella, and went out and smashed the car window. Can people drive you to the brink of some kind of emotional or mental breakdown intentionally in order to make you seem crazy, in order to make it seem like you are on drugs? One of the first things I noticed when I came back to the valley here was that everyone was very tired, but very much so not tired at the same time. Everyone seemed to have been staying awake for days on end, which seemed strange to me because I know that there was a methamphetamine or a meth problem in the area. However, I wonder why they were doing these drugs and how come no one was sleeping, just kind of staying awake. How you doing? I was wondering why people were just staying awake and why they were outside and why they weren't in the shelter. How come no one was sleeping and staying up for days on end? Putting the drugs aside, This is my theory, and this is just a theory, but I believe that it's possible that there might be a group or a force that is intentionally keeping the homeless and the drifters awake and paranoid and on edge and at a fever pitch for days on end so that they can claim that that person is either insane, a threat to themselves or others, and or if they were to do something nefarious, like put drugs on you or in your system, that they could then later go back to some kind of footage or perhaps a private eye recording or security camera footage and say, oh, here's this person, look, they dropped their cup or they dropped their shopping bag or they were disheveled or something like that. So therefore, it's obvious that that person was a user or a junkie. Something to that effect when they decide to, or if they would want to plant drugs on you or put drugs in your system when a person finally does fall asleep somewhere. Or that you could be disoriented to the point where if they were to come and make a false, unjustified arrest, it would be easy to pick up and grab a exhausted person and maybe make them fall down or something like that. Again, just speculation. So sleep deprivation, and the drug thing, either planting drugs on someone or putting them in their system. Now, granted, I haven't touched anything like that in years and years, but I had just taken 2 urine tests in the past month, actually, and blood test and a urine test, and a small trace of marijuana was found in that, which I had since stopped. It was the Delta 8 gummies, which I had since stopped, like I said. It's, stupid weakness of mine that I got into for a time and then left it for a time, and then when I came back, I saw they were in stores, and yeah, I tried them. Kind of took me back to my youth a little bit, but I'd stopped smoking weed for about a year, maybe longer, at certain points, and it's not really a part of my life anymore. I don't smoke it, I don't like the vapes or the gummies, and I don't use drugs or alcohol, for the record. And I kind of wanted to take another urine test at a clinic today, health clinic, just to have that on record too, in case anything like that is tried. And also, for the record, I'm not planning on running away anywhere. I've been down in the dumps about my situation, situational kind of melancholy or gloominess, but I wouldn't say I'm, full-blown depressed or anything like that, and certainly not clinically depressed, and certainly not suicidal or anything like that. I've been walking in the woods my whole life. I've climbed on rocks my whole life, walked on ice my whole life, snow, you name it. I was always trotting around in the woods. I'm pretty good, with walking on all sorts of terrain, even on next to no sleep sometimes I've done it. I've climbed huge hills on little to no sleep after a night of drinking back in the day, and I still have a lot of that. I grew up skating, rollerblading, so balance is kind of it's a key thing for me. It's a strong point, just in case, someone says I had fallen or something like that. And so it's important that I say this for my safety, because, again, a lot of strange things have been happening. And as far as the drugs thing go, the same person who would come to the Mother Teresa Haven shelter, who was kicking my bed all night but was not there last night, had seemingly dropped a small bag of white powder in the kitchen area of the shelter, and it was found and reported. It was about 1.5 feet over from me. It was on the ground, and so that's something to think about too. There was a young man to the left of my bunk, on the top bunk, last night, with a red jacket, and that whole ordeal, and last night I won't get into on this part, but let's just say that just keep in mind everything I had just said, and that should give you a good Oh, excuse me. And I had posted a post on Facebook the other day that said World Wide Web, and I circled wide web because the number of people who I suspect or believe or surmise that are involved in whatever's going on, as far as cleaning up the city or something like that, the web is wide. The amount of people involved is actually frightening. It's frightening. I don't even know what to say really from that, because that's how serious I believe it is, and just how wide I think it is, and how deep it goes. I mean, just go back and look at my timeline and my social media accounts, screenshot them, make sure to take a screenshot of and save the videos, record them on your phone if that's easier, just in case pages are suddenly removed. I talked about the security camera footage, phone records is important, records of people in the shelters of the week, the first few weeks of January 2025. Those records are important, I believe, because something's going on, and it involves a lot. I believe this is me speculating, we'll say. So this is not for clicks or views or attention or anything like that. This is, if what I suspect is happening, and I believe it is, I have little reason not to believe it is, then it's very serious, and it's very important that people know. Simply for the fact of, to bring it to light. And I've had a few men tell me that they'll pray for me. I'm not sure how genuine or sincere that is, or if it's a mixture of both deception and sincerity. Because, like I said about mixed messaging, I'll be told by a lot of these homeless people don't seem very homeless, and a lot of these people who keep saying that they have jobs and they're working and paying bills. Well, if you're paying bills and have a job, what are you doing in the shelter? And if you're working, how come you're never at work? Which is odd. So if they're working and they're not really hardly ever at work, or getting ready for work, or seeming like they actually do work, then what are they working? And a lot of these people are parolees and fresh out of jail, and then they disappear and they're back in jail, or someone picks them up and drops them off from somewhere. That happened the other day on the square. Very strange. And a lot of these people are former military. I'm not sure, National Guard type, prison guard type, veterans who, I don't know, might have, and when I was sleeping over in Kirby Park in the spring of 2024, I noticed that those mufflers that sound like artillery, did you ever hear those ones? those mufflers that go boom, 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 boom. We're going around in circles and circles and circles around the homeless encampment. How much of this is a scare tactic to kind of remove them or to make them want to leave, so they're not a nuisance or a health concern or something like that? How much of it is a scare tactic, and how much nefarious things are behind it, such as, has anyone been drugged to the point of an overdose intentionally, even if they were a drug addict or had previously been one? That would make it all the more easier for some group of people who doesn't want the kind of homeless, drifter, or drug addict population around anymore because of complaints from the town. And I could see that point, but it wouldn't justify murder, basically, is what I'm saying. It wouldn't justify that. So you wonder how many overdoses were. And so you have to wonder how much of the overdoses that have happened in recent months and years were